Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. After not seeing him for a month, Marcus just thrust a divorce lawyer's business card at me. Without even asking, "Are you okay?" or "How are you feeling? Divorcing a wife who doesn't work? Pay me $1,000 a month as alimony. Sounds good. Take care." Marcus chuckled as he said this. Standing beside him, Chloe was wrapping her arm around his waist, wearing a similar smug expression. "Fine. Let's divorce then," I said. I said it so casually that Marcus seemed a bit surprised, but he quickly shared his smile with Chloe. Good thing Marcus isn't much of a thinker. It makes my plan easier to execute. After the divorce papers got approved, I decided to start my revenge plan on both of them. I will make them cry as a celebration of my recovery. My name is Elena Wolf. I'm a 47-year-old illustrator. I also work as a children's book author. I just love drawing. I have 2 childhood friends, Marcus and Chloe. They're important friends to me. And Marcus is also my husband. It all started when Marcus asked me out, as I was heading to a different college after high school. I was surprised. I thought he was into Chloe, but I couldn't say no to a confession from Marcus, whom I had secretly liked. After some thought and consultation with Chloe, I accepted Marcus's proposal. Chloe's behavior had been a bit problematic since our teens, but she was still a dear friend to both Marcus and me. However, Chloe had a tendency to snatch other people's boyfriends, and then dump them once they become obsessed with her, causing problems time and again. Her parents were concerned, so Marcus and I often spent time with her to watch over her. Marcus and I got married when we were 25. For years later, Chloe brought her fiancé into our lives. His name was Liam, a professional working for a top-tier company. Nice to meet you, Elena and Marcus. I've heard so much about you. Looking forward to our future together. Liam was very polite, and we all got along immediately. We would get together during holidays and vacations, taking trips or going on long train rides to enjoy some drinks. However, things started falling apart after Chloe got pregnant, 2 years into her marriage. Marcus and I originally had many siblings, so there was no worry about heirs. We decided we didn't need children. Both of us love kids, but weren't keen on actively caring for them. Besides, we loved our freedom to travel and enjoy drinks. We often found it heartwarming to see families with children, but it was never more or less than that. When Chloe announced her pregnancy, Marcus's attitude started to change. He quit smoking because Chloe said she couldn't stand the smell, and even offered to drive her to doctor's appointments, using his vacation days. I warned him, "Liam might get upset if you're always with Chloe." But Marcus argued back, "You have work, don't you? She's our childhood friend, and she's reaching out for help. You're heartless." I said, "I've been buying things and helping where I can, but going with her to the obstetrician is crossing the line." When I said that, Marcus frowned and then glared at me. "Why?" "Because Chloe wants it, right? She says she's anxious about the checkup. I can't just let her go alone. If she's anxious, all the more reason for Liam to go with her, right? If you go with her every time, it's almost like you're the father of the baby in her belly." Marcus sneered. "Jealous you're not going to get pregnant anyway? So what's the problem?" He didn't take my concerns seriously, and instead started snapping, saying I was being annoying. We had hardly ever had a fight during our marriage, but things changed when Chloe got pregnant. Our arguments increased, and that didn't change even after Chloe gave birth. In fact, Marcus started spending even more time with Chloe and their child, Sophia. But when Sophia was 6, an incident occurred. It had to do with the attendees of Sophia's graduation ceremony. The day before the graduation, Marcus suddenly started rummaging through the closet. "Marcus, what are you doing? You have a meeting tomorrow." Marcus's workplace had a casual dress code, but there was a rule to wear a suit during client meetings, so he always kept a few suits ready. But they were all thrown on the bed now. No, just trying to decide what to wear for the graduation ceremony." "What? You're seriously thinking of attending the graduation?" "Yeah, Liam can't make it." Chloe asked me. "Wait, that's absurd. No matter how you look at it." I inadvertently raised my voice in denial. Immediately, Marcus's face turned sour. I knew he occasionally picked Sophia up from kindergarten, and I had done so myself when asked. Yet it was nonsensical for a childhood friend, who wasn't even a biological parent, to attend a graduation ceremony. "What? You still doubt me and Chloe?" I'm disappointed that you can't even help out. That's not the point. Anyway, I'm attending the graduation tomorrow, so iron a shirt properly. Marcus said that and abruptly ended the conversation, leaving me behind and going to the bedroom. I had no choice but to call Chloe. Hello, Chloe. About tomorrow. Sorry about tomorrow. I'm borrowing Marcus. But won't Liam be upset about the graduation attendance? Elena, what are you talking about? Obviously, I haven't told Liam that the graduation is tomorrow. I'll tell him after the ceremony. I was shocked to learn that Liam didn't know about the graduation schedule. Upon further questioning, it seemed that Chloe hadn't informed Liam about any of the kindergarten events so far, and Marcus had been acting as the father at the kindergarten, which made me dizzy with its selfishness. Wait a minute, Chloe. Isn't that extremely unreasonable? It's disrespectful to Liam, and just because he's a childhood friend. What's wrong, Elena? You're scary. Well, see you tomorrow. Wait, Chloe. I was trembling with anger at Chloe, who unilaterally hung up the phone. Still, in the end, I ironed a shirt, prepared a tie, and the next morning saw Marcus off to Sophia's graduation ceremony. Since then, Chloe and Marcus started going out more frequently, from once a month to once a week, and then to 3 times a week. Eventually, even Liam seemed to have some suspicions. And one day, while Marcus and Chloe were out, he visited our house alone. I'm sorry for visiting you late at night. There's something that's been bothering me. Is it about the 2 of them? Yes. I would like you to take a look at this. Liam showed me the GPS history he had installed in Chloe's car. It showed that she had been staying at a hotel 3 times a week. All of those days she was out with Marcus. And just by looking at Liam's face, I understood what that meant. What do you want to do, Liam? I want to take revenge on those 2. Me too. I can't forgive them for betraying us after all this time. We started planning our revenge on them, secretly. First, I started by increasing my income. Because I had been saving by doing housework and taking care of Sophia, my income had drastically decreased. Liam switched to working from home. And when Chloe and Marcus would go out, he would bring Sophia to my house, and we would take care of her together. Neither Chloe nor Marcus realized that we knew about the relationship, and we were able to gather solid evidence. Once we had collected enough evidence, and we're ready to take our revenge, we discovered a shocking truth about Sophia. Liam and I struggled with the decision, but we both agreed that we didn't want to hurt young Sophia. So we decided to wait until she was an adult to take our revenge. However, even though we decided to endure for 10 years, I was struck with a serious illness. I needed long-term hospitalization, and even at best, I wouldn't be discharged for at least 2 years. Although I could work from the hospital room, it was certain that I would have to reduce my workload. After informing Liam about the situation, I consulted Marcus. However, Marcus's reaction was no different from when we were making small talk. I'll visit you once in a while. I felt that Marcus no longer had any affection for me, as he didn't even ask about my condition or the name of the disease. In reality, Marcus only visited once a month, or once every 2 months. And after Sophia's 15th birthday, she started acting strangely. Although she used to visit me almost every day right after I was hospitalized, she became distant after her 15th birthday. However, neither Liam nor I could figure out why, and we were puzzled. Even when we asked Sophia, she just said, "Don't worry about it." However, we ended up learning the reason from Marcus, who rarely showed up. Hey, it's been a while. Yeah, it has. Marcus, who had completely transformed into a flashy appearance, walked in without even knocking. After not seeing him for a month, Marcus just thrust a divorce lawyer's business card at me, without even asking, "Are you okay?" Or "How are you feeling? Divorcing a wife who doesn't work? Pay me $1,000 a month as alimony. That's the deal. So take care," Marcus said, grinning from ear to ear. Beside him, Chloe wrapped her arms around Marcus, with a similar expression on her face. "Fine. Let's divorce then," I casually agreed, which seemed to surprise Marcus for a moment. But he quickly exchanged smiles with Chloe. It was good that Marcus wasn't the type to think too deeply. That's why my plan worked so well. After receiving a notification that the divorce was finalized from Marcus, I decided to start my revenge plan against the 2 of them. I will make them cry as a celebration of my recovery. I promptly started to take action. First, I contacted Liam to transfer hospitals. Then I informed my lawyer that they would be mediating between the two parties from now on. Liam also began to act at the same time. He moved near my new hospital with Sophia, and he started to visit me frequently. Sophia still had a gloomy expression, but I was happy that she came to see me every day. Most of my belongings were already in the hospital room, so I told Marcus to dispose of the rest. I didn't want to bring anything that the two of them might have touched into my new life. Once the hospital transfer and Liam and Sophia's move settled down, I received a call from Marcus. I had only left my seat for a few minutes, but my smartphone already showed 30 missed calls. I answered the phone, feeling exasperated. What? Hey, what the hell is going on? I could hear the voice of a troubled real estate agent behind Marcus's panicked voice. I also heard Chloe yelling, which made me feel sick. What do you mean? What's going on? It's obviously about the house. Why do we have to move out? Marcus shouted at me as if it wasn't his fault at all. I replied to him coolly. Obviously, because that's my house. Huh. Marcus seemed to have completely forgotten. But the truth was the house we lived in was a room I rented as a workspace when I started to make a living as a freelancer. At that time, I didn't have enough income to maintain 2 houses, and Marcus didn't have enough income to live alone, so he ended up moving into my place. Therefore, Marcus had never paid the rent or utility bills for that room. Although I received some money from him for living expenses, it wasn't enough to maintain the place. Unfortunately, that room was already canceled. It was far from the hospital I transferred to, so I had processed the cancellation the day after submitting the divorce papers. I didn't inform him because the real estate agent who knew the situation said they would contact him. Liam and Sophia suddenly disappeared, and our house was sold. What are we going to do about our new house? I don't know. Maybe stay in a business hotel for now. As I turned on the speaker and started working, Marcus yelled in frustration, "Don't screw with me." However, he seemed to remember something and started speaking in a more soothing tone. Well, whatever. When will you transfer the money? We're running low on cash. What are you talking about? Huh. Don't mess around. I told you to pay $1,000, didn't I? Oh, I don't recall agreeing to that. My nonchalant response was met with incoherent screaming from Marcus on the other end of the phone. Apparently, he thought he could get money from me and had been squandering it, even if he had $1,000 left. How did he plan to get by for the rest of the month? Hey, don't just stay silent. Say something. There's really nothing to talk about. My retort left Marcus momentarily dumbfounded, but he soon started yelling again, growing increasingly annoyed. I addressed Marcus in as cheerful a tone as I could muster. Anyway, we're basically strangers now, so please don't contact me anymore. You'll hear from my lawyer. Huh, lawyer? Hey, wait a minute. I hung up without listening to Marcus's response. He tried calling back several times, but I ignored it, and eventually the calls stopped. However, angry that I didn't answer, Marcus started ignoring calls from my lawyer. He certainly had a childish side, but I never imagined he'd be the kind of person who didn't mind causing trouble for others. I sighed deeply at Marcus's selfishness. A few months later, after a temporary discharge from the hospital, I visited Marcus's parents' house. In front of me were Marcus and Chloe, both looking small and trembling. You told them. My parents are a low blow. Oh, I just reported that we got divorced. Marcus glared at me in response to my answer, but he shrank back under his father's stern gaze. Actually, I had a great relationship with my in-laws, even visiting and dining with them when Marcus wasn't around. Despite being so well-loved, I felt it was wrong not to share the details of our divorce, so I went to visit them. Is it true that you're remarrying Chloe? Yes, it's true. Chloe, Sophia, and I are going to start over as a family. What are you talking about? Your only family is Elena. She's not my family anymore. Marcus's words made his father frown with a look that seemed to say, "Give me a break." Marcus shook his head a few times, then handed me a piece of paper. It was a bill from a nearby luxury hotel. What's this? It's the bill from the hotel we stayed at. Marcus, acting as if it was obvious, pointed at the bill on the table, then suddenly collapsed. Oh, what the heck, Mom? I didn't raise you to be like this. My mother-in-law, gasping for breath, was met with a look of disbelief from Marcus next to him. Chloe wore the same expression. Why are you so angry? It's just that the family is changing. Because I'm getting married. Plus, you'll have a grandchild. A blood-related one at that. Aren't you happy? You too didn't. My mother-in-law, looking as if she couldn't believe what she was seeing, glanced at them, then turned her gaze to me. Both my in-laws understood that I didn't want children, and still treated me as their own daughter. Of course, they treated Chloe, my childhood friend, similarly, but there was always a boundary between a daughter-in-law and a friend. I remembered Chloe often complaining about that, so I was certain my mother-in-law wouldn't be happy about this situation, and Chloe should have known it too. You do love Sophia, right? It'll be your grandchild, so you'll be happy, right? It's because she's a child I've known since she was little. Oh, but half of her blood is from Marcus, right? Even after all this, Chloe, showing no sign of remorse, and acting as if she couldn't understand the problem, gave me goosebumps. At that moment, someone who had been silent until now spoke up. Enough already. It's disgusting. Sophia, who had been playing with her smartphone in the corner of the room, spoke to Chloe without looking up. The room fell into a stunned silence. My dad is the only one I consider my father. Whether we're related by blood or not, he's the only one. But you know Marcus has always been the one to attend your school events. I heard everything from Dad. How he was always informed of the event dates after they were over. How eventually even the events themselves were kept from him. But Dad always said I was his daughter, so I am his daughter. And I will never be yours. Sophia glared at Chloe as she said this. Then, sitting beside me, she switched to a more concerned tone. You know, when I found out about this, I thought you would hate me. But Dad said that wasn't the case, so I came here today. Sophia, I love you so much. You were so kind to visit me every day while I was in the hospital. I was really happy. Elena, Sophia, perhaps relieved of her anxiety, teared up and hugged me tightly. It might indeed be a child resulting from an affair between Marcus and Chloe. Yet it's a child I've taken care of for 15 years. There's no way I don't have affection for her. Speaking of which, Chloe, weren't you curious why I wasn't surprised when I found out Sophia is Marcus's daughter? Ah, Chloe looked startled. Before she could speak, a new person entered the room. We knew from the start. 10 years ago, actually. Liam suddenly appeared. Understandably so, as she had recently unilaterally demanded a divorce, citing irreconcilable differences. I was shocked when you mentioned divorce. Oh, and unfortunately, you're not divorced yet. The divorce papers are still here. Didn't you notice? What I figured, it wasn't in Chloe and Marcus's nature to confirm things. But I couldn't help but be stunned that Chloe, despite the 100-day waiting period for women to remarry, hadn't noticed for months. So Chloe is still my wife, and Sophia is still my daughter. Well, since there won't be a wife though. Wait, what do you mean? A 15-year-old can choose their parent. That's not true. Sophia wants to be with Mom, right? Chloe said that and looked at Sophia. Sophia frowned at Chloe and held my hand. Chloe was speechless at that and glared at me. Then Marcus suddenly burst into laughter. So that's what it is. You two are together, huh? But too bad. Isn't it impossible to live on Liam's salary alone? Can you stop making weird assumptions? Also, it seems Liam earns double the amount you think. Chloe knows about it, huh? It's probably a bluff. Besides, it's impossible for you to work while dealing with your illness. You'll just die miserably somewhere. This time, I laughed at Marcus's huge misunderstanding. Marcus, seeing me suddenly start laughing, was getting frustrated. You didn't know about my income, did you? Huh. It's probably just a bit more than a part-time job. No, it's different. My annual income is $500,000. Huh. Marcus's eyes and mouth were wide open in shock. Chloe was also stunned. In fact, over the past 10 years, I have become a popular children's book author, and my income had skyrocketed from essays, interviews, and the like. Moreover, a film adaptation is planned soon, so my income is skyrocketing. Liar. Oh, do you want to see this? I said that and showed Chloe my bank account screen. It clearly showed a large amount of money being deposited every month. Chloe was at a loss for words when she saw it. Elena, let's make up, huh? What are you saying? Chloe was furious at Marcus's words, blinded by the money. I watched them blankly and then opened my mouth. Well, if you want to get married, feel free. Oh, and I'll definitely take the compensation for damages. Elena, wait. Elena. Ignoring Marcus's words, I took Sophia's hand, and, after saying goodbye to my in-laws, left their house. Marcus originally worked at my father-in-law's company, but it was revealed that he was lying about going out for sales, and he was fired. My father-in-law planned to forcibly put him on a friend's fishing boat and work him to the bone. Working on a fishing boat was tough for an indoor-loving Marcus, and he contacted me several times, but each time I notified my father-in-law, and eventually the calls stopped. Chloe lost custody to Liam and got divorced. She seemed uninterested in Marcus, who couldn't afford luxuries, and didn't seem to chase after him. She was disowned by her family, and lived alone in a rundown apartment. She hadn't worked at all since getting married, and since she had always made others do things for her, she couldn't do anything herself, and there were hardly any places that would hire her as a full-time employee. Still, she had to pay for her living expenses and child support, so she worked multiple part-time jobs, and barely made ends meet. After entering high school, Sophia worked hard every day to study abroad and go to a prestigious university overseas. Being originally diligent, her dream is to translate my picture books and deliver them to children all over the world, which makes me happy. As for me, my picture books are selling well, and I am receiving more and more offers for animation adaptations and merchandise. My illness is also progressing well, and although I am still hospitalized, my doctor recently told me that I might be able to leave the hospital next year. And one more thing, Liam and Sophia come to visit me every day. Actually, Liam recently confessed to me with remarriage in mind. I haven't given my answer yet, but I can't help but have feelings for him. He said he wants to live together when I leave the hospital. While thinking about what to answer, I work on my picture books every day, hoping for a happy future for us. I weave stories again today. If this betrayal happened to you after years of love and sacrifice, would you forgive them or fight back with everything you have? Let me know your answer in the comment box below.